Welcome to What to Watch Wednesdays, hosted by someone's favorite film buff, Nathan. I love movies and I want to share that with you. From old originals to cult classics and foreign favorites, along with straight up drivel, WWW is your place for all things movies. Stick around and we'll leave you with a movie to watch over the weekend with your family or that special someone. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. 88.1 The Burg, your music central. Welcome back to What to Watch Wednesdays. My name is Nathan, and I'd like to introduce the movies on our watch list tonight with a little bit of a preamble. Let me say right off the bat that one of my favorite categories when it comes to movies is, put very simply, weird ones. I love movies that are goofy. They're maybe a little bit out there. They may be pushing that to a taboo label just a little bit, or they're just straight up bizarre. Like, sure, there's movies that are out there. They're just a little bit, they have some crazy things happening. And then there are movies that are just straight up what is happening at every constant second. And let me tell you right now, the director that I'm talking about today is no stranger to that kind of movie. Today we're going to be talking about Terry Gilliam, who is a very famous and prolific British director who has directed movies such as Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, 12 Monkeys, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which many people have definitely heard of before. And so we're going to be talking about those three movies tonight. But to make it crazy, I just said them all in the reverse order. We are going to be opening up tonight with our first movie on the watch list, that being Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So stick around after the break where we'll jump into that. 88.1 The Burg, your music central. Welcome back to What to Watch Wednesdays. For our first movie on the watch list tonight, we are going to be talking about Monty Python and the Holy Grail from 1975. So, we'd like to start off here at What to Watch Wednesdays by talking about the plot of the movie. And I'm very sorry. I've just been told by this very invisible producer that Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Monty Python and the Holy Grail does not in fact have a plot. Technically speaking. In fact, it's really just a series of events happening, all tied together with the loose thread of King Arthur going on a quest to find the Holy Grail and the various amount of random garbage that happens to prevent him from doing just that. That's not really a plot line, it's just kind of the series of events that happen within the course of the movie. So thank you, non-existent producer, for wasting my time and telling me that. I knew that already, and I was going to say that. You're useless, and you also don't exist, so it's very much fine that you're useless. I don't know where I'm going with this bit, but that's very different from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, to be honest. They really knew where they were going with the bit until the very end. To be honest with you, it's one long bit until the very end, and everybody loves that bit because this movie is incredibly popular. People always talk about it. People memorize the lines. They recite them over and over again. Everyone has a favorite scene from this movie. Everyone loves it, and I'm no different. I personally think that Monty Python is just a funny movie. It's just a fun ride throughout the entire thing. I've seen it twice, and that's enough times to know for a fact that I still like it. Like it lives up to its hype very much so. It's not a perfect movie, but it's not trying to be. It's just trying to be goofy and out there. It really achieves that. Some of the scenes that people really like to reference would be things like, oh, it's just a flesh wound. Oh, run away from the cannibal rabbit, which doesn't make sense because rabbits aren't eating the rabbits in that scene. They're eating people. So it's not technically a cannibal. It's more of a rabid, weird super animal, which is actually a perfect description of the bunny from Monty Python, to be honest with you. Rabbit super animal is a really good description, honestly, now that I think about it. I should probably have used that at first, but then we wouldn't have gotten here naturally, and that's what we like to do. And honestly, I do think a lot of what they came up with was just kind of on the spot. They're like, we have this bunny stuffy, what would be funny? And Terry Gilliam, the mad lad, who was, in fact, the director of this movie, along with Terry Jones, they were just like, here's a great idea. What if we just throw it at someone on a fishing line and make it look like it's eating people? That's funny, right? Yes, it's very funny. It's incredibly funny to just watch this tiny little fuzzy thing rip someone to shreds. But you all are familiar with it. There's obviously other things like the flesh wound, like I said, the Black Knight, that guy, I don't feel bad for him. It's just this goofy scene that happens. People tend to reference the knights who say knee, who just say knee over and over again and ask for shrubbery for whatever reason. And then, like, there's the scenes where they are riding around on the horse and they have coconuts. There's the thing about I don't even remember exactly, like, the full details of it. I just remember it being a funny bit about them trying to invade a castle, and then it being about, like, the difference between French birds and English birds. And I think it was, like, something about swallows, if I'm remembering it perfectly correctly, which I can't. I just remember it being a really funny thing. It was like, I pee on your mother was the insult that the French knights said to the British knights. It's not perfect memory. I just remember it being funny, okay? I can't remember every single bit when I remember enough of them that are incredibly iconic. Give me some grace for not remembering the bird bit as much as I remember the bridge scene. The bridge scene, personally, is the funniest thing to me in this entire movie. I love the bridge scene so much. They get up and they have to answer this riddle, and it's like, what is your name? What is your favorite color? Or it's like, what is your quest? And then it goes, what is your favorite color? What is the capital of Argentina? What is, I don't know, the difference between the birds? And they go, I don't know. And then they fall off the cliff in a really weird ragdoll way. That, to me, is my favorite scene, to be honest with you. It's just the build-up to what eventually happens is so incredibly funny. And it's also hilarious that, like, half the characters get killed off in that scene with no, like, consideration for the fact that they had something to do with the story, and then they just die. And then there's the scene where the one knight, like, raids the castle to save the girl, and he just kills everybody in there. That scene is amazing, especially when it's, like, it shows such a long build-up, and they just play the clip of him running towards the castle over and over again. Here's the long and short of it. I could go through and explain all the jokes in Monty Python. We could be here all night, and everybody would just feel like it's getting repetitive because they've likely already seen the movie, know exactly what I'm talking about, and don't need to hear it repeated to them. So I will instead focus for the last couple minutes here talking about something that I sort of realized just today while thinking about this movie before showing up and reviewing it. I think that this movie could be compared very nicely to another comedy of its caliber. And you may be going to, like, throw something out the window and thinking, what do you mean there's a movie on the caliber of Monty Python? There isn't one. I would argue heavily, personally, that a movie that I now am going to often think about if I ever watch Holy Grail ever again, and I will definitely, is the movie Blazing Saddles by Mel Brooks. Only for the fact that both movies have this incredible mastery behind the idea of, we are going to make every scene absurd to an extreme degree that makes it funny. Our comedy comes from how weird and out there our movie is going to be, and we're going to make jokes around a specific topic. We're going to keep it within that realm, but definitely dance outside the lines on multiple occasions. And we're going to try to make a point, which is time to be sarcastic about the King Arthur mythos. And Blazing Saddles is, we are going to make a statement about being racist, which Blazing Saddles feels a little bit more deliberate, whereas Monty Python just feels like a bunch of annoyed British people just wanted to make fun of King Arthur, which is kind of, it's highly likely that's exactly what they were trying to do. So in that case, mission was still accomplished. Well done. Applause. Round of applause. I'm laughing. I can't stop laughing. Make me stop laughing. My stomach hurts. Please. I beg you to make me stop laughing. I will also say that I have said that there really isn't a plot, right? People have seen this movie before. Even if you've seen it, you got to admit, the plot's very thin at best. So I think it's not really a spoiler to say that by the end of Monty Python, they don't find the Holy Grail. In fact, the entire ending scene is just unintentionally lost potential because they ran out of budget and they were going to have this big entire encounter go on, and then it just cuts to them being arrested by the police and then just driving away. And that's just because they ran out of money. To be completely honest, I think it's funnier that way, because in reality they set something out and it's like, here's how King Arthur's going to grow and how he's going to overcome his circumstances and get to his final destination, and then it just never happens. Like, that's the ultimate way to make fun of King Arthur, right? Just make him incredibly incompetent at what he's trying to achieve, and then have him not achieve it at all. It's perfect. It's perfect dramatic irony. Congratulations, Monty Python. You've hammered in the idea that dramatic irony can work in a movie that you're trying to be dramatically ironic about. Wonderful. Round of applause as usual. Again, I haven't talked about it too much, but this movie was in fact directed by Terry Gilliam. It was a co-directing effort by Terry Gilliam and Terry Jones. Both were a part of the Monty Python group, but Terry Gilliam is our focus tonight. It's just kind of an easy pick since he did in fact have something to do with the Holy Grail. So in fact, the next two movies, which would be 12 Monkeys and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, are a lot more specified towards Terry Gilliam. And we're going to start off by diving into the world of 12 Monkeys after the break. So stick around. 88.1 The Burg, your Music Central. Welcome back to What to Watch Wednesdays. And for our second movie on the watch list tonight, we are going to be taking a look at 12 Monkeys from 1995. To start off with the plot summary, this movie is about Bruce Willis being a prisoner in the future. I believe it's set in the year 2030, and he is sent back in time to the 90s in order to stop the apocalypse from happening, because apparently someone let a monkey out and it had some weird virus that it infected everybody with and caused the world to go to garbage. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but this sounds like a regular Thursday to me. I don't know what's so weird about any of this. I'm being incredibly sarcastic, and I legitimately just think this movie is completely normal and not weird at all. No, it's weird. It's out there, it's goofy, it's nonsensical. What is going on, and why am I laughing at it, and why do I find it so intriguing that it actually has a good story to it? To be completely honest, part of the reason that this movie is worth the watch is, A, you really get to see Terry Gilliam's style kind of come alive outside of the Monty Python brand. Like, not to say that he was bad with Monty Python. I mean, Holy Grail is hilarious. It's amazing, and it's so worth the watch. But it's not really Terry Gilliam's specific style. If you watch 12 Monkeys, you really get the idea of, okay, this is him more so expressing what's personal to him, in a way that feels personal to him. It feels more deliberate, more specifically tailored for a specific vision in mind. And it also really portrays a future that is just weird. It looks weird, it has a feel to it, and through most of the cinematography and the way that they kind of build the camera around that, they show different nooks and crannies of it. They show this really kind of desolate landscape that almost reminds me of Alien if it was like way more elaborate in all the wrong ways. That's the best way that I could possibly describe the landscape of 12 Monkeys, the future that it really portrays, is it's Alien in all the wrong ways, and then they have time travel for no reason, so it's partially Terminator, and then a bunch of substances that they took in the 80s that they really shouldn't have been messing with. That's the kind of takeaway from 12 Monkeys. I will also say that the way they portray this overly, weirdly elaborate alien world, not necessarily that they're on an alien world, it's just taking inspiration from Alien and then making it weird and specific. The set design is really something noticeable. It's really good. I love the set design of this movie, which is something that I don't necessarily say about a lot of movies. It's not like it's unimportant. It's just like I personally don't pay attention to that. And 12 Monkeys had something to look at. It had something to point out and go, this is weird and out there, but they put a lot of effort into how it looks. And honestly, I'd say it's worth watching for that aspect alone, although it has a lot of things to back it up. One of those things that backs it up is a very notorious aspect of this movie, which is the fact that it has Brad Pitt alongside Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis is just a prisoner, and he's kind of an action person, but not really. He's in a weird sci-fi world. In terms of Brad Pitt in this movie is notorious for playing a mental patient. He is an absolute psycho who just wanders around waxing philosophical and losing his mind and then leaving his butt hanging out. I'm not even joking about that. That's just a part of the movie. That's an entire scene in the movie. It's him just walking around in a hospital gown. muttering about random stuff. And he turns out to play an actually significant role in the story later on. But it's like, this is so funny because Hollywood's playboy, the person that people tend to think of as the pretty boy of the film industry is just this weird, disgusting this weird, disgusting gremlin in this movie that makes it so incredibly entertaining to watch. Like, it is unabashedly funny to watch Brad Pitt in this movie, and it makes it worth it for that. Like, it's worth the price of admission just to see a weird, messed up Brad Pitt. I'll be honest with you. I will also say that this movie, like, for me, I don't love time travel. Like, it's not something that I personally go out of my way to find. But when it's done right, I think it really allows a good story to be told. 12 Monkeys falls into that second category of it's a very good story that you don't have to spend too much time wrapping your head around, because by the end of it, you get that kind of final reveal, that final twist that makes you go, oh, that's what we've been seeing. That's all the significance of it. This is why the time travel element was used for it. It has to be critical to the story. It has to kind of influence things later down the line. And it has to kind of come as a surprise. Like, you have to include a twist with a time travel plot that makes it all come together. And I'm being very vague with it because I actually don't want to spoil at all the story of 12 Monkeys. This is why it becomes very different in comparison to Monty Python, because I was fully ready to just say, yeah, here's how Monty Python ends. 12 Monkeys is an actual, like, legitimate story that you get engrossed in, and it's not worth spoiling. So there's that. I will at least say, in terms of spoilers, just a minor thing to point out, and that is, you may be asking, why is it called 12 Monkeys? What does this have to do with monkeys? This doesn't like, what are you talking about? I will at least guarantee you that the name 12 Monkeys does play a role in the story. It is significant. It does have weight to it. It's something that you should keep in the back of your mind while watching it. And that's all I can really say about it. I honestly think that 12 Monkeys is a weird, bizarre nightmare where we see Bruce Willis sent back in time, losing his mind the more and more times he's sent back in there. Every time he comes back to the future, he loses his mind even more. And it makes him, again, with that transformation of Brad Pitt, who's the pretty boy, and Bruce Willis being the action boy, just seeing him become, like, essentially traumatized going through time travel is really fun to watch. It's something I haven't seen a lot of movies do, and I'm very glad that Terry Gilliam was crazy enough to do it. So bravo once again. We are going to move on from 12 Monkeys, and after the break, we are going to jump into Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas from 1998. So stick around for that. 88.1 The Burg, your Music Central. Welcome back to What to Watch Wednesdays for our last and final, I almost meant to say third and final movie. I said last and final. That's the exact same thing. What am I talking about? For our third and final movie on the watch list tonight, we are going to talk about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas from 1998. The basic overall structure of this movie is it follows Raoul Duke and Dr. Gonzo, played by Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro, respectively, as they load up on a bunch of weird substances and go to Las Vegas to cover the Mint 400 dirt bike race. I almost said Burt Dyke race. That is not what I meant to say. I meant to say dirt bike race. The point is, this movie is a weird trip where Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro act crazy in the middle of the desert. Does that sound like a fun movie? Does it? Because let me tell you, to me it does. This movie is something that I would call not a good movie, but a movie that I really enjoy watching for all the wrong reasons. It's not an ironic enjoyment movie. It's a movie that I enjoy, like, literally watching. I actually get legitimate, genuine enjoyment out of watching this absolute unhinged nightmare on a bunch of weird substances in the middle of Las Vegas. But I will admit that there is no substance to the story to really make it have any redeeming qualities. A lot of the stuff that happens in it is horrible. A lot of the stuff that happens is weird and out there and really difficult to watch for people who tend to abuse substances. I will say that right now. And I don't even mean that in the sense of like how Requiem for a Dream is very like difficult to swallow for people who don't have like substance abuse issues. I mean, it's just like for how lighthearted they take it all, for how crazy they go with it. It's just like, they don't really care. They're really not like trying to keep it super, I don't know, like PG. That's a term that does not go anywhere near Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It is not PG by any stretch of the imagination. And to be completely honest, there's a lot more fun to kind of be had when talking about Fear and Loathing if you examine the book that the movie is based on. As I said, the movie's about Raoul Duke and Dr. Gonzo. Those two characters are actually based off of real people, with Raoul Duke being based off of the person Hunter S. Thompson. Now, here's the big caveat of explaining the book, and that is, I could go off on a rant on it, but we do not have infinite time here on What to Watch Wednesdays, and it's such a long and convoluted story that I don't have my notes for, and would take way too much time to talk about. So, here's what we're gonna do. I'll tell you a couple of things about the movie itself, and then I will highly recommend tuning in to What to Watch Weekends this Saturday at 9 a.m., where I will in fact break down everything you need to know about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. All the weird, like, inconsistencies, all the goofy nonsense, all the things that inspired it. But you'll have to tune in to What to Watch Weekends this Saturday at 9 a.m. I will say a couple things. First of all, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas has some of my favorite cinematography in any movie. I love the way the camera moves. It's always on a tilt, or it's moving way too fast, or it's following a car, or the way it moves and weaves, it all feels very intentional, and in order to make you disoriented and lost in this crazy drug-fueled nightmare. So good job, they had an intention there. I will also say, in regards to the camera, the way the colors are chosen, the way they move the camera, the way they sort of figure out how to use a lens on that camera, is entirely influenced by the drugs that are being taken during the movie. Now, normally, that's not something you think of when making a movie. You really don't want to kind of pick out each drug and go, okay, we're going to use this length of a lens. We're going to use this wide of a lens. We're going to like move the camera like this, guys. Come on, let's put in these colors into the scene. You don't think about that kind of thing. You shouldn't be thinking about that kind of thing. And yet Terry Gilliam, the absolute mad lad, decided to do just that. He didn't have to. He shouldn't had. He really didn't want, I didn't want him to do that. I personally, who was not alive in 1998, did not want him to do that. And yet he unabashedly went for it and did it. So, as per usual, as the common theme throughout tonight has been, bravo to Terry Gilliam for having the guts to do the weird thing that nobody wanted to or should be doing. So, congratulations. I will also say that in order to close out tonight, we are going to be playing the song Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. Rather unfortunately, this song did play a major role in the book, the original story of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. In the movie, they didn't have enough budget. They did manage to get a lot of the other songs that they would then later include that were from the book, things like White Rabbit and Somebody to Love by Jefferson Airplane, but they didn't have enough money to get Sympathy for the Devil. So we will play Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones, partially because I also like it. So to close out tonight, tune in to What to Watch Weekends at 9 a.m. this Saturday, where I will go over everything you need to know about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Follow What to Watch Wednesdays at What to Watch Wednesdays on Instagram, all one word, no caps, no spaces. Thank you all for tuning in. I will be back here on the Burg next Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. So thank you all, and I'm signing off. Nathan out.